Hola, nos encontramos en el Hyatt Hotel de Hollywood y vamos a estar hablando en el día de hoy directamente con el director de la película Love Ranch, Mr. Taylor Hackford.
Charlie! He's gonna train here. There's not gonna be anybody in the whole world didn't hear about the Love Ranch.
Selling love will make you rich. That's what my mother taught me. Just don't put your heart in it.
This is the greatest revenue-generating machine in the world.
I don't want your money too. I just want to make love to you.
There's no business like hoe business.
Love Ranch is a continuum of my films. I make films about working class people, and I'm interested in interesting situations where I'm looking at the workplace, whether it's ballet dancers, but actually not looking at them perform, but looking at what they do behind the scenes, or performers like Ray Charles, or anything that I've done in Officer and a Gentleman. It's all about that process of working class people interchanging with a passion to kind of get through something. And in this instance, a brothel, a house of prostitution. You initially say, oh, it's going to be erotic, you're going to see a lot of skin. No, I was interested in the people who actually work there. How do you, function within this kind of aberrant workplace? And that's why I was interested in Love Ranch.
I don't know if you noticed this or not, but the big Neanderthal guy out there, he's sexy.
He's just a hustler like all the rest. You know, he's already taken Charlie for thousands.
Good for him. I like him already.
Hey, excuse me, it's my money too.
Money shmoney, Grace. My God, you have to have a little fun. You ain't gonna live forever.
The premise to me was to look at very cynical professionals. You have a couple who played by Helen Mirren and Joe Pesci, who run a brothel. They had been outlaws before and they got it legalized, but they still have been through toughness in their life. And a boxer, Armando Brusa, who was based on Oscar Bonavena from Argentina. This is somebody who came to the United States in the 70s, the era of the great heavyweights, and fought the best of the best. He fought Joe Frazier, almost knocked him out. Took Ali to the limit of 14 and a half rounds. He was stopped right at the very end. These are three cynical professionals who are, you think, beyond love. They're so, they're inured to feeling any real emotion. And I was interested in saying, here you are in the most cynical place you can imagine, the flesh business of prostitution and professional boxing. You put these professionals together, you never expect to see anything at night. What would be interesting if all of a sudden, surprising to them, this thing erupts. They actually feel emotion for the first time in years. And I thought that was a very interesting piece of drama. The boxer, you don't know what's behind him. Each of them is carrying secrets and you discover them.
Gracie. Now I know why. Years ago, the first time I saw you in that joint in Fallon, I said, this girl's for me.
In this instance, you go to work with Joe Pesci. First of all, Joe Pesci hadn't worked in 10 years. Not because he hadn't been asked, because he didn't want to. He finds acting painful, difficult. And I was able to convince him and seduce him to come out. But when you go with Joe Pesci, you're going to get surprises. He is so intense, he is wonderful and completely committed. But when he defines a character, things are going to come out. And this line, all of a sudden they get out of a car and this line about Helen being the Queen of England, and of course she won the Academy Award, I thought that'll never be in the movie. I mean, on the other hand, I cut the movie and I played it for an audience. They loved the line. And it's not like they love it just because it's an easy joke. They all knew that Helen had been the queen, and they're looking at her playing a madam, and they're going, ooh, this is strange. It diffused the situation immediately, got rid of that, and now they went completely into the movie. So Joe Pesci throwing in this line, which I thought was wrong, turned out to be fantastic. That's what happens when you work with great actors. They're provocative. They add to what you have as a vision and also your script.
Remember that fighter I told you about? Who? The Argentinian fighter, we own him. Brusa, my man.
What a head of hair you got there.
Like the Beatles. Fantastic to meet you, Mrs. Goodtimes.
Reno was one hell of a fight town. Brusa here is gonna bring us back on top where we belong. We're gonna be famous.
Sergio Perez Mencheta is the biggest surprise in this movie because nobody in the United States or in the Western Hemisphere has ever seen him before. He is from Madrid. I knew when I have to have somebody play Oscar Bonavena, an Argentine who was champion boxer of South America in the 1970s, how am I going to find that? Because Bonavena was called the wild bull. He was big and incredibly powerful. And he had this fantastic personality. He was charming. Not an easy thing to find in actors. And I saw a picture of Sergio and I looked, there's just kind of an animal magnetism about him. I said, I wonder if this guy can act. And I got a hold of him. He was going to Mexico on a pilgrimage. He stopped in Los Angeles and he came into our living room and I had him read with Helen. I had a little video camera and they sat down to act together and it was like this. He is totally committed. Helen was working with him and she turned to me and she said, this guy has really got it. And I saw in him the perfect combination of Armando Brusa. And I just gave him the role right then. Now he gained, but I asked him for a lot. He had to learn boxing. He was the captain of Spain's rugby team when he was in college. So he's physical, but he never boxed. He went to Gleason's gym in Brooklyn, one of the great boxing gyms in America, and he learned to box with a great trainer, Jimmy Glenn. He was totally dedicated. He gained 35 pounds for the role. He's the kind of actor like a De Niro in the United States who is completely committed. And I think people in America and the world are going to discover a really great actor. I think he can be a star.
I'm old.
Prostitution is evil.
I can't go out there and fight. I need you to do it.
Do you think they dreamed of being hookers when they were little? No, they've taken what life has thrown at them and they're making the best of it. It hurts me, Charlie, when you do it right in front of my nose.
All those girls mean nothing to me, and you know it. You're my wife.
I'm your business partner. That's all I've ever really been.
I only care about being here with you.
You have no idea what he's capable of.
I think when people first think about, oh, this is going to be a film about a brothel, it'll be like HBO, it'll be like Cat House with all the tits and ass. No. It's a film about the inner workings of a brothel, but most importantly is three cynical professionals who seem to be beyond any kind of emotional life. When they come together, there's an explosion. And for the first time in years, they feel something. They actually are moved to passion. And that to me which was interesting. I think when you come into the movie, you're going to think you're going to have a good time in a brothel. No, you actually go have, I think, a better time discovering real characters, and you feel something, emotion like they're feeling. At the end of this film, I want people to be touched, and touched by people who have lived a life, and they still can reach in and find something that's worthwhile.
What passes for love to so many lonely people. What keeps me going is that through all the lives, we had it, love and truth together.
It ain't over, Grace. We're fighting long shot.